I want to do a simple, basic applique embroidery design, and we are going to do the Boo Hoop. This one is found on page 14 of your pattern book. And if you have Embrilliance, I'm going to show you how to merge designs in Embrilliance if you're using the background quilting. And if you're not using Embrilliance, then I will show you how I get these designs onto the USB stick to take to the machine, and then we will go stitch it out. This is the basic Embrilliance Essential screen, and right now I have my 9x14 hoop on the screen, and I want to change that to my 5x7. So I'm going to come up here into the very top. The little yellow icon is the preferences window. And in the preferences window, usually what comes up right away, there's environment, and the first one with the little arrow by it is hoops. And in here, you can hit the drop down arrow and you can see all of the different home machine embroidery file types that are here, and your hoops will be listed in here, or the most basic hoops will be listed in here for your machine. If it is not, if you don't see the hoop you want to use, you can come over here to New and create your own. So I want to go to the 130 by 180 hoop, which is right here. And if you're not sure, you can look down, and it just below the window, it will tell you this is the 5x7. And I'm going to click OK. It's that simple. I'm going to scroll my mouse button up just to make it a little bit bigger so I can see it a little bit better. Let me resize just a little bit. There, that makes me happy. Okay, the first thing I want to do is bring in the background quilting. And to do that, I'm going to come down here to the yellow folder on the bottom of my screen. I'm going to go to my desktop in my quick access window. If you want to see how to get to all of this, I did a video number 2 on management of the embroidery files and how to get them to a USB. So I have clicked on my desktop window, and there is my CCQS, that is Candy Corn Quilt Shop. I will double click it, and I'm going to go to the background quilting. And the background quilting for the Boo Hoop is number 25 in the quilting guide number 1 from Kimber Bell. That is Halloween 4, 4x4. So let me go to Halloween 4 and embroidery files, Halloween 4, 4x4. There it is. I'm just going to grab it and drag it over. It has automatically centered itself in the hoop, and I'm going to come back here and go backwards by clicking on this up here. And I'm going to go to my embroidery files. PS. This is the quilt, and I need the Boo Hoop. It's this one right here. I'm just going to grab it and drag it in. Essentially, you have merged 2 files and made them into one design. And you can see that up here in the Objects panel. You have the Boo Hoop. Here is your placement line for your batting, the tack down for the batting, placement line for the fabric, tack down for the fabric, and here is the background quilting motif. And on this design, this is the placement line for the fabric and the tack down line for the fabric. Here is the Boo cross stitching. Here's the ghost fill, ghost outline and eyes. Here is the tightening screw on the top of the hoop, and there's your little wooden hoop right there. So that's it. That's as simple as it is, using Embrilliance Essentials to merge 2 designs into one and make them one design. And now I'm going to go File and scroll down to Save Stitch File As. And I'm going to go to my USB drive right there, and I'm going to call it Boo Hoop BKG. So that tells me the background quilting is there, and that's it. Now, if you do not have Embrilliance and you want to get these designs onto the machine without using any kind of embroidery software, I'm going to scroll down here until I find my USB drive. Here is that 4x4 boo hoop. I'm just going to click on it one time and drag it down to the USB. And I'm going to scroll back up here and get back to CCQS, my background quilting, Halloween 4, embroidery files. You got to poke around in here. Halloween 4, 4x4, there it is. And I am going to drag this down, and I'm going to drag this over onto the USB stick. And now let's click on this and double check. So here they are, one at a time. You would load this design first into your machine and then click Add, and then you would load this design into the machine if you are doing the background quilting. If you're not, you'll just do the boo hoop, and then here is the combined design. And that's it. So now I'm ready to take the USB stick over to the machine and get stitching. If you have a Brother Luminaire or a Baby Lock Solaris, there is the ability to wirelessly send the designs to the machine. In order to make this function properly, you need to turn your machine on and let it go through its initial sequencing. I think you have to click OK one time and let it do its thing. And in Embrilliance, you will come up to Utility and scroll down to Send to Solaris XP1. XP1 is the Luminaire, and this will also work for the XP2. And give it a name. And tell it OK. And in real time, that's how quick it was to send the file to the machine. Let's go over to the machine and get stitching.
Okay, we're going to do the boo hoop, and on page 42 in your book, it shows you the different sections, and it tells you how all the blocks are supposed to go together. This is the beginning of how to put all of the sections together to finish the quilt. And you can see in section 4 right here, there are all 3 of those hoops. So boo hoop is in section 4, and I have gone through, let me lift this up just a little bit, and I have taken large Ziploc bags, and that's where I put all of the baggies in. And I'm going to go to section 4 and find my boo hoop. Let's see, there's eek, dress form, stitch, home, boo hoop. There it is. And I'm going to be doing the background quilting on this particular design. And if you go to the boo hoop, let me pull up the pattern book here. On page 14, it tells you to finish the block at 4.5 by 4.5. That's what you want to trim it down to. And inside of every one of the Kimberbell background quilting designs on page 2, it will tell you that if the trim size, this one here says 4.25, it means 4.5. That's the only one, I don't know, it's a typo. So if your trim size is 4.5 by 4.5, then your batting size is 5 by 5. So I have all my batting pieces also pre-cut, and that way I don't have to stop and do that. And I'll just reach in here and pull out my 5 by 5 baggie and get a piece out. There we go. Put this back. This is one of those big Art Bin super satchels. It's very handy for a big project like this. I need to get my poly mesh light cutaway stabilizer. Aren't those slap bands cute? I love them because they tell you what it is. And the colors match the stabilizer colors in the pattern book. It is so simple, you guys. You cannot mess this up. And I'm going to get my 5x7 hoop and just set it right here with the handle to the outside off the edge. And I'm going to cut an inch away, just like that. Ha, very handy. And then I'm going to hoop it. Make sure that there's a little bit of stabilizer sticking up all the way around all the edges. I'm going to take, this is a friction marker, and I'm going to line up the north and south points, vertical points on my hoop, and create a line for center. And I'm going to also create a line for horizontal so I can find center. Okay. So now I know where center is in my hoop. You know, look at this, you guys. I don't know if you can tell. I'm going to own this. I made a mistake when I was cutting, and I cut the fabric where I shouldn't have. So I just sewed it together. Whatever. And now I'm going to put the fusible woven stabilizer on the back of this fabric. And that is this right here. Take my snap band off there. Those are so fun. And let's go put it on the fabric. When it's all said and done, you will not see that. Now I'm going to go trim this up. All right, we are ready to get started. After you put your backing on your fabric, you want to fold the fabric in half, and you want to make little clips, little tiny clips on both right, left, and top to bottom. And you want to do that so that you know how to align the fabric in the hoop. This is a good habit to get into for embroidery. Now I know that I can align the fabric correctly in the hoop, top to bottom and side to side. I also took that little scrap piece of fusible woven that was on the end and just ironed that to the back of the hoop fabric. There. Perfect. Okay, we're ready to go. The very first design where the thread is going to matter is the background quilting on this fabric. Okay, so I'm going to take my green thread, and we're just doing background quilting now. If you are not doing the background quilting, then we have not started that part of the design just yet. Tie it off to this thread that was on here before. To change threads, I just do a simple knot. I put them both together and I twist them a couple of times and create a single loop and put the tails through and grab it and pull it like that. This is an Organ 7511 EBBR. It's specifically designed for embroidery. And if you have a brother or a baby lock machine, they are timed with them at the factories. There we go. And they also came in your accessories kit when you bought the machine. And I have a 90 weight pre-wound bobbin in there. At my machine, I want to get into the memory. I'm going to touch the pocket. And I could do either one because I do have it on the USB stick. Or if you got it on the USB, you would touch the USB. That's the universal symbol for USB. And then you would either pull up the background quilting, then the boo hoop, or just the boo hoop if you're not doing background quilting, or the merged design. Either one. So I'm going to, now if you brought it over wirelessly, you would touch the wireless button, which is those little radar waves, and there it is right there. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Looks like Halloween all over my machine, doesn't it? Okay, so the first thing I am going to do is touch embroidery. And we're all ready to go. I'm going to put my hoop in. And you can see the light turned green already. I'm going to thread my needle. And I'm just going to press the green button to go. This is going to create the placement stitch for the batting. I'm going to put my batting down, making sure to cover the entire placement stitch. Get the dog fur out of it. And go. This is the tack down stitch for the batting. Go down twice. Need to trim away the batting, and I'm going to be using my Quilter's cut and press on my lap. These are Ginger curved embroidery scissors. They have a nice rounded bottom to them, and you want to put that round part as flat to the base of the hoop as possible, and pull up on your fabric as you are trimming. There we go. Okay, put the hoop back in the machine. Whenever you put your hoop back in the machine, always put your hand on the arm. If you have an embroidery machine that has this type of arm, you're going to put your hand on it and then slide the hoop in and pull the button down. Now it's going to do the placement line for the fabric. It'll do a jump stitch out like that. There we go. I bet you I didn't even need to fix that. Nope. That whole piece that I cut isn't even going to show. How about that? The easiest way to place your fabric in the hoop is to fold it in half on your little notches that you have made and get that even with the line that you drew on the center of the hoop. Center your V down here at the bottom and then just kind of roll this up. And then you can fix the angles pretty easy so everything matches. All right, and let's go. Now it's going to do the tack down for the fabric. So you guys, I kind of lucked out the way I cut my fabric wrong and then I sewed it back together. This block is going to trim out at 4.5 by 4.5. So if I take my orange pop ruler, I know already that I cannot center this fabric in the hoop as it requests. This is how you can do little workarounds and stuff. And I'm just going to cover, I'm going to put the fabric right here, and I think that I will be able to get away with not having this seam in my block at all. So if I lay this in here, yep, I'm going to trim this out and you won't even see that seam. Okay. All right, now I'm going to just let it do the tack down stitch for the fabric. I'm going to put a basting stitch in. Yep, I made it. The embroidery gods were smiling on me today. And now it's going to do the background quilting motif. Now we are beginning to follow the pattern on page 14, and it says to choose a neutral thread color. So that means I'm just going to choose the next thread color in line in order to save myself from having to change threads a bunch of times. So the first two threads, it looks like, are going to be the light gray. So this is going to be the placement line for the background fabric for the hoop. Put your fabric over the hoop. I'm showing how to do this if you don't have a cutting machine. You did not cut out your SVG file, so this is the way you'll do it. It's very, very easy. You can tape this down if you want. Keep your fingers out of the way. Don't put your hands in the embroidery field. This is going to go around twice. All right, so it says place the hooped fabric placement line, put it right side up. We just did that, and then stitch the hooped fabric tack down line. And then this next little dot says trim fabric close to the stitch line. So you need to remove the hoop and trim the fabric right around the edge of that circle. Okay, once you've got that done, you're about to stitch the boo cross-stitching letters, so we need a thread change to black. There are some jump stitches in this design you're going to need to trim if your machine did not cut them. My machine did not cut this one or this one, and that's not the machine's fault. That's how it was digitized by the designer. And now we need to do the stitch fill for the ghost. So I need a thread color change to white. This is the basic, easy applique embroidery that is required in this pattern, and you will repeat this process over and over and over for all of the embroidery designs, the applique embroidery designs in the entire pattern. I need to thread my needle. Thread change to black to do the outline and the eyes. Need a thread change to dark gray for the tightening screw on the top of the hoop. And a final thread color change for the outside of the hoop. We're all finished. I'm going to pull this out. There are a couple of jump stitches between the eyes, the B and the O, and the exclamation point that I want to trim up right now. I have found the easiest way to do this is they have these little tiny snips These are at tooltron.com. So when you do a jump stitch trim, you want to go from where it landed to where it started. So you're using the natural tension of the stitch to your favor. So this stitch just jumped straight up. And these little tweezers are from Revlon for your, pull your eyebrows out. I got them at the grocery store in the makeup section. And they are the best. Look how clean that little jump stitch got. It's absolutely perfect. A little loop here I didn't like. That's why these little tiny snips are the best. You can get really, really small stuff and make it right. There's a little loop on that eyeball I don't like either. If you accidentally clip one of the little white threads, don't dye over it, it'll be fine. But try not to. Look at him. Boo! All right, we need to trim up to 4.5 by 4.5. All right, I got a rotating mat. Get out my orange pop ruler. This is the 4.5 by 4.5, and I am aligning. There's a little arrow with a line, north, south, east, and west. And I'm going to align the vertical ones because I got off center on mine because I had a little fabric snafu when I was cutting. There. I think that is centered perfectly. It looks great. Okay. If you're right-handed, you start over here on the left side, push in, don't move it, turn. I have the square set and the rectangle set. They're not cheap, you guys, but oh my goodness, are they worth it? Peace of mind on all of your fussy cutting projects. Look, didn't that come out adorable? Oh, that is so stinking cute. Okay, I'm going to put this back into my boo hoop bag, and then I'm going to put my boo hoop bag back in my section 4 bag. Okay, I'm going to get ready to do those other 2 hoop designs, the eek hoop and the home hoop, home sweet home, and we are going to do both of these in one 9x14 hoop in the next video. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Go sew something.